This afternoon we're celebrating two very sacred events. We're joining together for Shabbat. Shabbat is this incredible gift that after 6 days every week of building, of creating, we have a day where we are expected to rest. Exactly. To take it all in, to enjoy, to be here with one another. What a gift. And so we celebrate that with services, and we celebrate that and celebrate another very important occasion. Hello there. And that is Jolie becoming bat mitzvah. Jolie is becoming an adult in the Jewish tradition, and that means that Jolie will be helping us to lead services, that she will be reading Torah so that we can fulfill the mitzvah of hearing Torah. And Jolie will be teaching us Torah as well. And the best way we can support her is by participating as much as we can, by lending our voices, by following along in the prayer book, and as soon as we feel comfortable with the melodies, joining in. Don't worry if you don't read Hebrew. All of our texts in Hebrew that we'll be singing together, at least most of them, are written out in transliteration. That is written out in the Latin alphabet, and the translations are available as well. We ask that you turn off your cell phones if you have not yet done so. If you're joining us online, please put your devices on Do Not Disturb. And we also note that we ask that there's no photography during the service, except from the choir loft. And give the Velelis a couple of weeks, please, before you ask for photos. But a couple of weeks, then you get to ask them as much as you want, I think. So, Rabbi, did I miss anything else?
I don't think so.
Well, good. Excellent. Then we begin on page 554 with Matovu.
continue on page 556, chanting Ashrei responsively. Ashrei Ashrei Beitecha, Od Yalalucha Sela.
Ashrei Am Shekacha Lo, Ashrei Am Sharonai Eloham.
Tehillah David, Arumimcha Lo Hayamelech, Ve'avracha Shimcha Leolam Va'ed.
Bechol Yom Avracheka, V'halala Shimcha Leolam Va'ed.
Gadol Adonai Melal Meod, Ve'ligdulato in Cheker.
Dole Doi Shabach Ma'asecha, Ugvorotecha Yagidu.
Adar Gvorodecha, V'divrei Niflotecha Asicha.
וזוז נורתך יאמרו, גדולתך ספרנה.
זכר טובך יביאו, וצדקתך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ירך אפיים וגדל חסד.
טוב אדוני לקו, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבור אדם מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
הנה כה אליך יסברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשפיל לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קורב, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ושבתם ישמע ויושיע.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל השעים ישמיע.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פיו, יברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah. We turn to page 566. In a moment we will begin Seder L'Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of Torah. Aneni bemet ishecha Vayehi binso Aaron Vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai V'yafutzu elecha V'yanusu misanecha mipanecha Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kdushato. From ancient times, there have been those who believe that a person's worth is in the power they hold, in the wealth they keep in their possession, and in the people they control. Torah brought to this world a different message, a message that taught us that a person's true worth is in the power they share, in the people they lift up, in the wealth they give out. This teaching has kept our people alive and thriving for thousands of years. And it is because we have passed this teaching from teacher to student, and from parent to child. And so we continue that tradition this very day. והגבורה והתפארת Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. You may be seated.
It's the need to get the body right and to get the soul right and to put those into one. And it's something that any B'nai Mitzvah student will tell you we work toward for many, many years to bring those into being, to be physically prepared, to be mentally prepared, to be spiritually prepared for this moment. And Jolie is all of those things, and we were looking forward to hearing her reading from Isaiah in your red Humashim. You can find this parsha on page 656, right towards the bottom of the page. And she will be beginning on Leviticus chapter 13, verse 38.
תעמוד יואלה בת אליהו בתיאל ודינה בלת הקריאה יעמדו אליהו בתיאל בן יוסף ופגע רבקה דינה בת אליעזרה וחיה לעלייה הראשונה. First we're doing your tummy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu lachitatef batzitu.
Amen.
Can I say that? With gratitude and pride, I now prepare to read the Torah in the sacred tradition of our ancestors. I pray that God is with me and all my loved ones at this holy moment, and that the memory of all who came before me stand with me at this time. May there be strength, be my strength. May their wisdom be my wisdom, and may I continue to walk the paths of our people as I bring the heritage into a new generation. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, so you guys can put on the talit. Mom and Dad, come over here. Do the shechina first.
Do this.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this moment.
Amen. Now before the bracha, you'll want to kiss the Torah with your talit, Paul. Okay. Now, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Baruch et Adonai hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Amvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Ve'ish o isha ki hiyeh ve'or besaram bechavot livnot ve'ra'ah hakohen ve'hinei ve'or besaram bechavot kehot levanot bohak pavrach ba'or tahorhu ve'ish ki maret rosho gebeachu tahorhu.
Kiss the Torah one more time. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. Get ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tuchenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And now's a good time to give a hug if you want.
Give a real hug.
Good luck. Yomdu Chaya bat Karl v'Dina Eliezer ben Binyamin v'Kel Aliyah Hashenit.
I want you to know this is his Thomas. He's 87 years old. It's hard to Okay, here we go. Just stand to it. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Amvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai hamavarach li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarach li'olam va'ed.
Keep going.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabornu m'kol halamim v'tanyanu l'torato. Baruch atah Adonai hatein haTorah.
Amen.
Now I have to do this one, right?
No, first Jolie.
Ve'im mib'at panav imaret rosho gebeachu tahorhu ve'chichiyeh ve'chovachat o ve'gabachat nega lavan adam dam savrachat porachat hi ve'chorachto o ve'gebarachto ve'ra'ah oto hakohen ve'hinei se'etanega levana adam demet be'chorachto o ve'gebarachto kemaret sarat
Or basar.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu laTorah tamet v'chei olam nata b'cheinu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach, yasher koach.
Thank you.
Yasher koach.
Thank you. Now, should we sit down? Okay, Ken, go sit.
Yamdu Fega Rivka bat Avraham Berezel. Shalom Eliezer ben Yosef Fega Rivka Aliyah Hashlishit.
Adonai hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Amvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech
Haolam asher basha banu mikol
haolamim v'natan lanu et
Torah. Baruch atah Adonai notan haTorah.
Amen.
Im tzaruachu tamechu tamei itameinu hakohen v'rosho nigo v'hatavua asher bo hanega v'gadav yehiyu faromim v'rosho yehiyu favruam al safam yatek וטמא, טמא יקראו. כל ימי אשר הנגע בו ידד יטמע טמא יאכל. בדד ישב מחוץ למחנה מושבו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'shaya alam natah b'torah shunu tohinu. Baruch atah Adonai natan haTorah.
Amen.
You guys come on this side now.
Damod Yoela Bat Eliyahu Bat Yel Vedina Kalat Bat HaMitzvah. Wait, Rabbi Max has to call me up first. Will you call me up?
I will. Ya'amod Harav David ben Yehuda Kohen Shoshana Bal HaKriyah.
Okay, ready. I'll first kiss the Torah right here with the Tallit.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Amen. V'habeged ki yevonega tzarat b'veged semel o b'veged pishtim. Pishtim. Oh vishti oh va'erev lepishtim v'latsamel. ואור, ובכל מלאכת אור. והיה הנגע ירקרק או אדמדם, בבגר או ואור, או בשתי, או בערב, או בכל כלי אור, נגע צרת הוא. הוראה את הכהן.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Yehelanu, yehelanu, kolecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, kolecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, kolecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, kolecho Yisrael. Mazal tov. You may be seated.
Do I stay here?
Just for a second. יעמוד שמואל בן עמרם ולאה המגביה. יעמדו בנימין בן אליהו בתיאל ודינה. מיכאל בן קל ודינה הגוללים. Please rise for the raising of Torah. Beyad Moshe. Shkoach, you may be seated. And now, Jolie will share with us some words of Torah.
Shabbat Shalom. I can't tell you how happy it makes me to see everyone here in one room together. For a long time, we were not sure we would be able to have such a celebration. It makes me so glad that we are no longer afraid to be near each other, and we are not in fear of getting sick from one another. There was a time not so long ago where people were scared of you if you even sneezed. This was also new to us, or so I thought. When we look into the Torah, we can find another time period where people were afraid of one another. There are many different types of illnesses mentioned in my parsha, and many different medical rituals to cure each illness. For example, if someone had a scaly infection located on the skin, they would be pronounced unclean. They would be in isolation for 7 days. After those 7 days, if the infection remains on the skin, they would be isolated for another 7 days, and that process would continue until the infection disappears. This quarantine took place for things as well, not just people. An eruptive infection is when mold had developed on an article of clothing or fabric. The priest would examine the article, and then it too would be isolated for 7 days. According to Leviticus, while treating leprosy, priests took on more than a religious role. They acted as doctors, diagnosing and treating people on a daily basis. This is one of the reasons why the priest would look over someone with an infection. Although they did not have much medical experience, it was thought that they were capable of making medical decisions. Even with conclusions as to what the ailments were, priests were still baffled by all the different diseases. Their confidence and specialties laid in rituals and prayers, which is how they believed people would be cured. Priests would cleanse the people spiritually, hoping that would cure their ailments. They would also be isolated because they did not know how the different infections would spread and affect others. During this time in history, people did not understand science and medicine like they do now. For instance, if a rash had covered your entire body, it was assumed that this was your natural skin tone and texture, and the rash had vanished. This was their hypothesis, since it was covering their entire body. Even though we have obviously made strides in medicine and have much better understanding of science, there are always things that scientists and doctors question, such as, most recently, the ongoing variants of COVID. We are so fortunate to have scientists that are educated and who are able to conduct research to contribute to thousands of treatments for all different diseases. Even if current science still cannot cure certain diseases, we have science to help with pain management, ways to localize the infection, and prevent the infection from spreading. Now, when someone gets sick, they go to a doctor to receive medicine or the care that they need. During the beginning of COVID, everyone who was infected had to quarantine, just as in Leviticus, because no one really knew or understood the effects of the disease. There was no science behind the disease, because it was brand new, again, similar to how the priests treated infections of the past. It is amazing to see that in current times we revert back to the past when treating things that we did not know. COVID has kept us all apart for the past 2 years. However, we are now all coming together, watching in horror what is going on in Ukraine. Together we watch the war and feel helplessness and even fear for our own future. Together we witness the strength of the Ukrainian people. We ask ourselves, how could we have let something so similar to the Holocaust take place again? Here we are watching hundreds of thousands of people trying to escape from their country. Families are being torn apart as fathers leave their families to go fight, while their children, wives, and the elderly hide in bomb shelters, hoping and waiting to be packed onto a train into Poland for safety. We said never again, but here we are watching this and wondering what we could do. After searching for a Mitzvah project for many months and toying with different ideas, I realized I wanted to spend my time helping the people of Ukraine. I have decided to work together with Parental 27. The goal of this movement is to gather, transport, and provide essentials to families in Ukraine that need immediate help and supplies. My family and I will be collecting, donating, and volunteering towards this cause, and hopefully you will too. There are countless ways that you can help. If we all contribute a little at a time, we can all make a huge difference. With the state of the with the state of the world that it is currently in, the past three years have been a time of uncertainty and fear, and a new normal was created that rewrote history. I'm so grateful and happy to be standing here, looking out, seeing all my closest friends and family. I'm thankful that we are all here together under one roof and not afraid to be near each other. I want to thank my mom and dad for making this day possible and always believing in me. Mom, thank you for planning this day and working so hard to make it so special. I know you secretly enjoyed my singing while I was practicing my prayers. Dad, thanks for making us all laugh when things got a little too stressful, and I'm sure a synchronized dance will finally be ready for my wedding day. And Chase, thank you for being the best little brother and always keeping me on my toes. Lastly, thank you to Rabbi Weisberg, Rabbi Max, and Cantor Epstein for helping me prepare and feel confident for today's service. I appreciate you all being here, especially those who have come from afar, and I'm so excited to celebrate. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yes, go up. Debbie and Paul, please come on up. Debbie and Paul have some words of blessing.
Jolie, there's so many things that we want to say to you today. First and foremost, both Dad and I and Chase couldn't be any prouder of you. You made a commitment to your religion and heritage and followed through. You hurdled obstacles like being behind in your Hebrew when we changed temples and even stuck with it through COVID. Logging in and doing the lessons online. Certainly not something easy to do. But that is who you are. You never take the easy way out. You do whatever needs to be done in order to not only finish the task, but do it to the absolute best possible way. And you've always been that way in everything. You never do something halfway. Either you are incredible at it, or you just don't do it at all. As your mother, that is something that has always amazed me, because that comes from within, not something that could be taught or passed down. We are so proud of the young lady that you have become. I see so much of myself in you, like your love of traveling and trying new things, your love of adventure, and that you are always up for anything. Your love of shopping, music, jewelry, makeup, fashion. The fact that you always try to do the right thing, even if it's not what you always want to do, which is difficult at times. The fact that you have 30 closest and best friends, your love of giving just as much, if not more, than receiving, and the fact that you worry about everyone else, sometimes even more than yourself. Yet I also see so much of Dad in you too, like your fierce competitive streak, your athleticism, although I often joke that your ability and love of sports comes from me. You have Dad's determination and his strong will, his love to make others laugh, and his commitment to academics. Combined, I would say that you have the best of both of us, which has created this unique, beautiful, both inside and out, independent, strong, smart, fearless girl who after today is considered a woman in Jewish tradition. I might not be ready for that next step as your mom, but I can rest easy in knowing that you have everything that you need to not only be successful in this life, but to live your best life possible and to lift others up with you. Although I am not ready for this next stage, I know that you are, and Dad and Chase and I will be here in the wings always, watching, loving, and supporting you in every way that we can. Mazel tov and becoming a bat mitzvah. We love you always, to the moon and back, 1,000,000 times over, and just know that you will always be my sunshine. Love you.
Would you slide over so I can be here beside you? So Jolie, you lucked out with the Parsha. This was one of the Parshiot that for ages was known as the icky Parsha. We talked about that, right? That this was the stuff with the gross skin ailments and there are things oozing out of us and we just didn't know what to do with it. It was only the bravest of B'nai Mitzvah students who were asking for this for their bar bat mitzvah. And then 2 years ago, this text became one of the most relevant parshiot we have. There is a mysterious illness, as you have taught us, and we had no idea what to do with it. We didn't have the medical technologies to take care of it, so we stuck people in isolation for a week. Not 10 days yet, but a week. It was close enough, right? So, and you applied it beautifully to what are the things that we understand, what do we do when we don't understand, and how do we move forward. So the rabbis like to go all in, just as you like to go all in on something. And they said, for the times when we don't have a way of applying this to life around us, when we have a grasp of all of the viruses around us, or there isn't something going on, there must be other meaning that we can take from this text. And so they said, well, what is with this mysterious ailment? These things that show up on the surface. Because at first we say, well, it's leprosy, tzaraat, right? How many of us have thought that this was a parsha all about leprosy? Exactly, this is what the older translation said. Except then, all of a sudden, we have this strange circumstance where your clothing can get leprosy too. And the walls of your house can get leprosy, and that's just strange. So the rabbi said, rather than that, this is something appearing on the surface to reflect what is going on underneath. And what's going on underneath, the rabbis say, is one of the worst sins that we can do. They say it's even worse than murder, even worse than idolatry, and that is the sin of lashon hara, of gossip and slander. And what they said is this was God's way of making sure that something that we're trying to do in private, that is absolutely awful, will no longer be held private. It's supposed to be a lesson. Because the rabbis have an understanding that when we speak ill of another human being behind their back, we are causing untold destruction. We are affecting reputations, we are affecting what others might think, and we cannot take those words back. They come to this actually because they see in the book of Numbers that Miriam and Aaron are actually talking about Moses and his wife behind their backs. So what's the consequence? Miriam gets tzaraat. There are other issues with the fact that it was Miriam who got it and not Aaron, even though they're both doing it, but that's a different of our Torah. They even say that Moshe himself at one point was guilty enough of this bad talk that he got tzaraat. And we get this from that initial moment when God met Moshe at the burning bush. Because when God asked Moshe to lead the people, Moshe said, they are not going to believe in me. They won't believe it. And so what does God do? God gives Moshe 3 signs to show to Pharaoh. This is before the 10 plagues. First, water turns to blood. It's less, satiating when you drink it that way. And then his staff turns into a snake. And then quickly, his hand gets covered in tzaraat. But later on, when the Torah is talking about this incident of the incredible things he did before Pharaoh, the Torah only mentions the blood and the staff, but not the tzaraat on his hand. And so the rabbis are trying to solve everything because he can't leave a stone unturned. And they said, well, clearly, that was a consequence for him thinking ill of the people. He thought the Israelites wouldn't believe him, and so God gave him a little bit of a consequence to show we don't do that. We do not speak badly of others. In our tradition, we believe that words are the most powerful thing we have. Our ability to use language is what makes us like God. That God didn't create the world by sticking materials together. God literally spoke, and the world came to be. And we understand from the beginning that our words can destroy and our words can build up. And so the parsha, when the parsha is not telling us what to do when we don't understand viruses, the parsha is telling us that when we see that someone has been engaging in something so malicious as gossip or slander, even something so small as sharing some information about someone else behind their back, the best thing to do is to remove that person from society until they're ready to come back and speak differently. Jolie, you clearly got that message. You have this incredible blessing about you that just brings people to you. All of your friends here are a testament to that. You know? In your sports, that's a testament to that, of your caring for others. You are an incredibly energetic social person, and you are incredibly passionate about the people who are in your life. And that goodness means that you seek the best out of others. You don't seek to spread nasty stuff that you can. You use your words, use your connection to build up those around you. That is an incredible blessing. That will serve you incredibly well. Because we learn in the Torah, it's not just don't do the things we're not supposed to do. Do the opposite. Do the positive and build. And through your language, through the way you apply yourself to any challenge you meet, through the way that you seek to lift others up, you engage in that positive act of creating with words. May you always continue to do that. May you always continue to bring that blessing, that smile, that spark of delight and energy into the room, because then we will all find blessing, and we will all be built up. Jolie, we are so proud of you today. And we now have one more blessing to offer you. This was the blessing that was offered at the temple on high by the priests to the people of Israel. Everyone, please rise. Jolie, would you face us, please? Yevorechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yarer Adonai panav elecha v'yikunecha.
May God's face shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's face always be toward you, and may God grant you a lifetime of peace. We say together,
Ken Yehi Ratzon and Mazal Tov. So we now prepare to return the Torah scroll to the ark. We all remain standing.
Page 570.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado. Hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayaren keren ve'amo, ve'ilan lechol chazira, lifnei Yisrael, am gerobotayim, למחזיקים בה ודומיה מרושע דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום.
אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה ומושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה המתים. קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, ולא כל הארץ כבודו. לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ונצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Page 582, you may be seated.
אתה אחד ושמך אחד, ומי כעמך ישראל, מי כעמך כעמך ישראל, כה אחד בארץ, תפארת גדולה, בעטרת ישועה. יום מנוחה וקדושה לעמך נתת, יום מנוחה וקדושה לעמך נתת. אתה אחד ושמך אחד, ומי כעמך ישראל, מי כעמך כעמך ישראל, כה אחד בארץ.
Turn to page 585, Jolie will be reading for us.
May our Shabbat rest be acceptable to you. May your mitzvot lead us to holiness, and may we be among those who devote themselves to your Torah. May we find contentment in your blessings and joy in your sustaining power. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth, and help us to enjoy in love and favor the heritage of your holy Shabbat. May your people, Israel, who sanctify your name, find the true rest on this day. Praised are you, O Lord, who sanctifies the Shabbat.
Amen.
Sit down.
You can sit down.
Oh my.
Page 590.
evil and my lips from speaking guile. Guard my heart from hatred and my mind from harmful thoughts. Help me to avoid shameful speech as well as shameful silence. May my words be messengers of your will, humble in spirit, helpful in purpose, seeking justice and pursuing peace. O Lord, guard my spirit from weakness and my soul from gloom or despair. Strengthen my worthy desires, that I may serve you in joy every day. Thus may I reflect honor on your holy name in all that I say and do.
Amen.
Now sit in my pants.
Page 592.
Page 610, we rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה. מלכי הפרחים, ערו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגוב אלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. At such blessed moments like this, in the life cycle of our family, in the life cycle of our community, we feel such joy knowing that there are all those who are here with us in person and digitally. And we also feel sadness knowing that we have loved ones who died before we could reach this day. And today, Jolie's family, they remember Joseph Velelis, Eva Velelis, Rosalind Gold, and Natalie Butlian. And we now honor the memory of these loved ones whose yahrzeits are observed this week. Donna Bialik, Gilbert J. Brown, Cheryl Dax, Allen Ginsberg, Sandra Goodman, Sidney Gordon, Dr. I. Leonard Kaplan, Shelby Kaplan, Zion Kazem, Augusta Kenigsberg, Jack Kolodny, Jacob Cooper-Blatt, Ruth Lubiner, Barbara Palin, Lillian Protzel, Robert Regan, Francis Sandler, and Rachel Weiss. We recall those for whom the Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, are being observed. Elaine Shapiro. And we acknowledge the passing of Alvin Goodman, husband of Rhea, father of Glenn Marshall and Daryl, father-in-law of Abby and Susan, grandfather of Sam, Haley, Lindsay, Andy, Jackie, Corey, Jordana, Isaac, Med, Charles, Emma, and Scott, and great-grandfather of Raphael and Logan. We also keep in our hearts and in our prayers all those whose lives were tragically cut short in the war in Ukraine. Zichronam livracha. May their memories always be for a blessing. We invite all those mourning, all those observing Yartzeit, and all those who wish to rise for Kaddish Yatom on page 616. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, be'alma divrach utev yamlich malchuteh, b'chaychon uvyomechon, b'chaye decho beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'al v'yitchomam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadal v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'ma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim alenu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imroma, v'yaseh shalom alenu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Makom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'arav le'tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the one who grants comfort grant comfort to you mourners along with all mourners of Zion and of Jerusalem.
So on behalf of the officers, the trustees, the entire Temple B'nai Abraham family, and I think I can speak for everyone here, I want to wish Jolie a mazel tov, a heartfelt mazel tov, on her becoming bat mitzvah this afternoon. A few announcements coming up from the synagogue. And lastly, Jolie, you can come on up here. From our men's club and sisterhood, I'll take that. We're trading in the B'nai Mitzvah binder for two very important gifts here. We have a Tanakh from our men's club, that's the entire Hebrew Bible with all the good stuff in it, and a Kiddush cup from our sisterhood. So you can have those for many years to come, and you're welcome to go join your family as a Jewish adult.
Shabbat shalom, mazal tov.